Many say para-unity is a myth. Many believe that the paranormal community is toxic, filled with egos, know-it-alls, and wannabe celebrities. Let's clear the air here and now. This thing we call para-unity is what we make it. Tonight, let's do something different. Welcome to Necromancer Live. Hello, and welcome to the Necromancer Live Show. I'm your host, Justin Brown, and we are presenting episode 88 with Lyle Lotz of the Twisted Paranormal Society. It's going to be fun. He's been waiting to sit down and chat. We see each other at least once a year for the last couple years, but we have never sit down and talked and get to know one each other. So that's going to happen tonight. You guys get to watch. You guys get to ask questions and get to know Lyle as well. Thank you for joining us. We got Betty Kegley in here, Michelle Williams, Robert Murphy's here, Tonna Lotz, Lyle's better half, Derek's in here. We got Sam Thomas coming in here a little later, Bill Davis. So what's up? I'm real quick. While I'm reading this bio and introducing our guests, feel free to share the stream, like the stream, follow the page. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. But we're going to get this party started. Lyle Lotz is a paranormal investigator of the Twisted Realm series and the Twisted Paranormal Society. Back in 2011, Lyle and his wife Tonna began to have a curiosity with the paranormal after seeing many popular TV shows. Being skeptical but open-minded, Lyle embarked on a quest to explore paranormal claims for himself and started his own media production called The Twisted Realm in 2013. The production has expanded to many media platforms as Lyle's team of investigators search for a realm that exists outside of our own. Lyle and his team look to bring some new and exciting haunted locations to the paranormal community as they prepare for their third season of The Twisted Realm. And without further ado, Lyle, what is up, buddy? What's going on?
Yes. How are you all tonight?
I'm ready to get this show started. I'm trying to pound the coffee. I think, based on your bio, it doesn't sound like you had some profound paranormal experience, and that's what led you down this path. It was almost like, you were curious. You were seeing these shows. You were hearing stories. Did it feel like you were just missing something and you just basically wanted to see for yourself what was going on?
Yeah, that's kind of basically it. I mean, it kind of started before 2011. Tonna and I, my wife, we just started watching these two guys that were plumbers, and we started following that show, the Ghost Hunter show, and that kind of just drew our curiosity. So of course, then we started seeking out other shows, like Paranormal State was out at the time. Ghost Adventures was coming out at the time. So we just started watching different things. It was like, and we would look at each other as we're sitting on the couch and, getting the chills or the watery eyes, with certain things going on. So we were like, is this stuff for real? And I know we just moved into the house we're in now. And it was actually my brother and his wife that said, hey, we know you guys are into this stuff. We've got a friend of ours that's doing a Halloween event tonight. It was actually Halloween. We were handing out candy at the time. And she said, I'll give him a call. If you guys can, go on out there with him. So he said, come on out. And that was our first experience, was kind of like out in the this old rundown house in the woods. And that was our first thing. It was kind of like, from that point on, it was like, wow, what's going on here? The curiosity was up. So, in 2011, we decided to kind of reach out on our own, and we wanted to join a local team here in the area, and they were full. And so he was like the guy that ran the team, kind of mentored Tonna and I, and helped us get started. And Twisted Paranormal Society started in July of 2011, and from that point on, we just were like every other new team. We couldn't get enough. We were like trying to find every place we could go to. And, between then and 2013, I mean, we were just, if it wasn't every other weekend we were investigating, it was every weekend. And so, just, it was more of a curiosity thing. And the more we did it, the more we got in tune to it. And I feel like, once things started with the realm in 2013, it's been, full blast ever since. So that's kind of a little backstory to everything.
Right. I have to ask, does any of your own personal spirituality leak into the curiosity at all? Do you feel like you have a connection with your spiritual path, or do you feel connected to spiritual energies, entities, or anything? Kind of give us what your spiritual background is and if it impacts or
Yeah.
relates at
Oh,
all.
yeah. I mean, before we started, I mean, Tonna and I are from a Christian background. And, we were weekly, church goers. And, but I never really thought of this as that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't put the two together really until we got going into this. And then, finding out after a short period of time, it took a few years before we found out really how in tune Tana is to this. Um, and I'm sure you guys are the same way. You're the same way. The more you do this, it's almost like you become in tune with what we're searching. You really do. I mean, I've never seen anything before or felt things until I started doing this. And the
Mm-hmm.
more I've done it, it's like I've become in tune to the spirit realm more, um, more than I ever was. And I don't claim to be anywhere near what Tana or Merlin or Jessica is. It's But the more you do it, the more you do become in tune. And I feel
Right.
like I'm really picking up more of that energy type. Um, Spiritual wise, I mean, we promote ourselves as a Christian based group, and everywhere we go, before we get going, we always ask for protection. Before we leave, we ask that He protects us before we leave, and so we're very big into that. So,
That's cool. This leads me down a whole lot of line of questioning I want to ask you, and it's cool because I know this. Josh Bender has a strong faith. He's a Christian, I think. He can correct me if I'm wrong. It's some denomination of Christianity, and when he first started, he didn't have a lot of with our team. I'll only speak for Interface Death. He didn't have a lot of personal experiences. He didn't have a lot of connections. But then after a year or so went by, he started to. So my first question is, when you were at church and where you're worshiping or have had any spiritual experience outside of ghost hunting,
mhm.
is it the same as when you're ghost hunting, or is it like two separate feelings, two separate things?
Boy, that's a good question there. I'll be honest with you. When we were, faithfully going to church every weekend, and I'll tell you, we kind of gotten away from that because we're staying busy all the time with it, and so we're finding it our own way. But back then, I didn't really pay that much attention to it. I really didn't. Um, Now that I have become more in tune to it, I do. It's almost like it's weird. It's a weird thing now to where I feel more spiritual than I
Mm-hmm.
did even back then when I was going to church. It's
Right.
weird. It's weird how it's come about. And I mean, we were very dedicated to a church that we were going to. I was a part of a worship team that, I played music for 5 years in a worship team at church. And it kind of got to where I was almost getting run down with it. So I had to step away because it was like, 2, 3, 4 times a week being there, being away from family. And, I was doing what I felt I was being called to, but it was kind of tearing me apart the other way. So, um, but that's kind of a little bit of background with the Christianity part of it. So, but I love playing music. It was a big part of my life when I did
Mm-hmm.
that back then. And that was before this all came along.
Right.
So once this all changed, I mean, it came along, we stay in tune to spirituality, but we stay in tune to this form as well. So,
Yeah, I asked that question recently, a week or so ago. I read an article about a 2015 article about a study from Oxford that was arguing that this new wave of spiritualism that's called ghost hunting was actually it's a form of spiritual practice. And when I read this article, it kind of like a light bulb got even brighter in my head, because that was something that I felt like it's deeply spiritual to me, even though I'm trying to objectify, the paranormal. I'm trying to be all sciencey and stuff, but really, when you do science, you have to like remove your emotions, your feelings, and out of that, and just be like robotic with it. And that's really not what people do. And I think the hardest thing to do, if you're going to be objective or be a paranormal investigator, is to remove your own self from the investigation. And that's why I wanted to ask that. And anybody that tells me if they're deeply spiritual, like a Christian or a Catholic or whatever, going into this, how did anything change? Anything stay the same? And what is family that still go to the same church? Maybe what do friends and family think about what you guys do?
I mean, my family, they don't look any different at it at all. I know my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, they were pastors. And, and I think she's very in tune to the spiritual world. She just wouldn't come out and really admit it at that point. But, it was really good to see them understand what we were doing and the research we were trying to do, because she had been following this for a long time. And Tonna will tell you that's a lot of where hers came from, was from her mother. But they were very, and they still are. I mean, they're still very religious people. And so they don't look down. My family, I think we've gotten more respect out of family and people here lately than we've ever had, with what we're trying to do, what we're trying to pursue, just trying to find those answers to see what we can, find out about that other realm that's out there. So, that's you bring out a good subject there with me. I didn't talk religion for a long time.
Well, I'm a spiritual person. I don't know if that comes across to everyone, but it's the first thing I go to, because I do this because I had a void of spirituality, and my dad passed away in 2011 at 54, massive heart attack. So that kind of made me expedited, gave me an incentive to seek out a spirituality where none existed. And it just so happened that the ghost hunting was in full, force. The paranormal pulp culture thing was right in your face, and I was always curious and interested. But then I was just like, okay, I could go to church and like use that as a coping mechanism, or I could go out there and see if I can connect with spirits and things firsthand. And that seemed like it was just the path of least resistance for me. So I just think it's an important thing that people understand.
I definitely do too. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because nobody really that I've ever talked with before has ever touched that type of subject with me, and I really appreciate you doing that. So it does bring back a lot of memories, because I loved my time, when I was with the worship team and all that stuff. It was a big part of my life, and but I continue to carry that along with me, even though I don't play the bass anymore. I don't sing anymore. I don't do any of that. I let all that go so I can go this direction. So
you should bring your gear to Gettysburg and jam.
Yeah.
You and Bill Davis can come on my show Friday and jam together over the Skype. People will tune in. They will come. I know we have a lot of people to shout out here real quick. We have a lot of people on Facebook, and we have YouTube people as well. Do you want to go ahead and do that, girls?
Sure. I have Derek Schreiner. I have Tonna. I have Bill, Brandon, Robert, Michelle, Valerie, Deb, Jim, Ernie, Josh, Wendy, Gilson, Becky, Gina, Lynn, John, Wendy, Mary, and Crystal.
Awesome.
We have on YouTube birthday girl. Her birthday's tomorrow. Sam Thomas, Betty Kegley, A Fireball, and Ron.
Oh, we got more than that. They're lurking though. They haven't commented yet, but that's okay.
Yeah, the ones.
And I have a couple questions.
Okay, well let's bring them on.
Okay. What type of equipment do you not like to use and why?
Let's see here.
Put you in
Basically,
on spot already.
yeah. When we first started, we were kind of, just like every other team. You want to test, you want to buy all you can, because that's all you know about. And so, we bought our K2s, our millimeters, our REM pods, all those different things. Um, but I've kind of gotten away from those. I really have. I mean, I know, I use a lot of Paranology's equipment right now, strictly static based type equipment, but I don't even use a whole lot of that. I use a piece here and there. It's almost like we're getting to the point to where we're using our senses more than and little gadget things than we are using the equipment of the field at the time. Now we do use a SLS every now and then. With our episodes. I think we've got one. We had two at one time. It just depends on whether it's working or not, whether we use it. But I think we're starting to focus more on our senses and attacking the location more ourselves than using the equipment. Now that's not. I'm not taking anything away from equipment. Everybody can use what they want. I don't look down on anything. I love all the different types. But that's just what we've started focusing on. And I'm a big backer of Paranologies, of course. They're a sponsor of our series. So, I do use Jeremy's equipment quite a bit. But it's like a piece here and there. It's not like I overload an area with equipment anymore. I just feel like if we have one piece and it operates, okay, great. But I would rather have those personal experiences anymore as part of our series.
So there's not one that you absolutely do not use because of a reason.
If I think about it,
like you didn't mention like ITC apps, you didn't mention the Spirit Box.
I take that back. We have used, holy cow, Spiritus. We've used that a few times, not a lot. Okay, now there's an episode that I'm actually working in right now. That the actual SLS that we were using had a Phasma box built into it. So we did use that a little bit as part of a current episode that I am editing. But not a whole lot. No. We do like to use the Spirit box a lot. We have gotten great responses out of that stuff. But it really has to be a great response before I really put it out there. So I've learned to do that with the editing, which I'm sure you do as well. It's got to really be something very good, incredible before I will put it in our series.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate to you wanting to step back away from all the gadgets and just learn how to connect more. Mm-hmm. It feels more meaningful. When you do that. And I think we're not young anymore. Okay. We're not old, but we're not young. So I think the more equipment that you shove into your face, the more you miss. Like, I feel like the more gadgets, the more cyborgy I look, the less I connect and the less I experience for myself. And that's really what people are wanting to do, is do that. That's a big part of it. What's your other question on Facebook?
What is your most memorable investigation?
Memorable investigation. Well, if I know Tonna's probably listening here. It probably has to do with Old South, Pittsburgh Hospital. That was kind of where the realm got started back in 2013. We were one of the last teams in Old South before the actual runners of the place up and left 2 weeks later. We saw a lot of things that particular weekend that made us very uncomfortable. Tonna got spiritually attacked by that spirit on the third floor there. I don't know. Have you guys been to Old South?
Not yet.
Okay.
We're thinking about it.
The spirit that is always talked about on the third floor. Well, she got physically attacked by it. And so that's probably my most memorable thing. We bought that. We locked that place down for a full weekend. We were only into our Saturday evening, early evening investigation when this took place. And after that took place, it was total chaos amongst my team after what happened. I mean, I don't know, the spirits, whatever they did, they affected so many people on my team in there. And at 9 o'clock, we called the investigation off. We were done. And we were still locked in that place until the next day at 11 o'clock. So we basically tried to just sit down and talk about what happened and try to get a better understanding. I know many of us were very pissed off with what took place there. And we wanted to go and attack is what we wanted to do. And we had members that said, no, don't do it. That's what he wants. That's what he wants you to do. And so we just held back and we just, even though we did that, we still had 2 members of the team at 2 o'clock that early Sunday morning that went and banged on the people's door and said, we got to get out of here. We can't stay anymore. It was that bad. You're talking about a great experience. It was a great experience at what happened, but it was a very bad experience for quite a few of us. So I don't know how that place is now. Tonna refuses to ever go back. So, many of us have still wanted to go back because we feel like we've got unfinished business there, but I don't think it's a smart thing for us because of that.
Does Tonna mind if you elaborate on how she was attacked, like the details of it?
Tonna went into that, and I think this is where Tonna started realizing that she had some form of abilities going on. She knew before we even went to Old South, she was like, I don't know if I should be going on this investigation. Something's telling me not to go. And she went anyway. And I don't think because she didn't know how to control those abilities that she left herself wide open. And she left herself open for an attack because Merlin was right there with her, who was our other sensitive on the team, very strong one. And she knew right from the start what was going on and what was happening. Third floor, I know a number of them had to actually walk Tonna, try to carry Tonna off that floor. But by the time she got down to the first floor, she was down. She was on the floor. She couldn't stand up. And it took probably a good 45 minutes for her to actually come back to normal. She was sitting in the break room with a blanket wrapped around her. And she didn't even look like my wife. It was the weirdest thing. And I've had a number of people that have looked at Tonna after that experience and say, that's not you. And some of them had to even turn away because they knew that wasn't her. It was really weird. It's on our, if people want to go see it, they can go check it out on our YouTube channel, the Twisted Realm YouTube channel, and you can actually watch that. That's not one that we put out as part of our series. It was part of our DVD series that we did. And you can actually see that from start to finish, what actually took place. You can see how it started all the way through the process. And it was definitely an eye-opening thing, especially to the spirit world, to know that something was strong enough to do that. So
yeah, that's eye-opening, and it can be profound, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I know, folks, if you want to ask Lyle a question, go right ahead. We'll, if we don't get to it right when you post it, we will get to it, I promise.
I have no other questions.
Okay. No questions on YouTube, right, Jess? Okay. I want to know did you have a passion for photography and filmmaking before you got into the paranormal?
Not really. I didn't have cameras and stuff like before that, and I think it was just getting into it and starting to film the investigations that my passion with the filming really came into play. I think it's grown even more ever since we brought Brandon on back in, I think it was 2017 is when we brought Brandon on. And he and I have been like a pair. We've learned how to film our investigations. Just basically, and when you watch our episodes, a lot of times you hear me talking, you don't even see me much because I'm behind the camera all the time.
I can relate
Every
to
now
that.
and then you'll catch a glimpse of me, or I might get a little segment there or something. But I just love filming and watching what's happening in front of me. That's the part that I love, and I think Brandon's the same way. So that's where it's all. I think in the last 3 years, I've really picked up a big liking for what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, I think it's not only storytelling, it's it's art. You're connecting and expressing while you're doing
Right.
it.
Right.
And if this is a very spiritual endeavor you're going through, then that just adds a little bit more personal
Right.
things to it. For me, and it's when I put up a trailer or a documentary or an episode together, like I'm putting everything I got into it,
Right.
and it's not just entertainment; it's more than that.
Right.
Can you relate to that?
Definitely. Oh, yes, yes. I think our latest trailer or teaser that we just put out, I felt that one. I felt what I wanted to do as I was putting it together, and so I feel like I've gotten a lot of good compliments off of the latest one. It's the one that's getting ready to air this Friday night on VideoSpace.
I hate to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Just lost power. And she wants to know if she joins the call again, will it mess up?
No.
Okay.
Jess.
I guess it's storming really bad down in West Virginia, southern West Virginia.
The storms must be coming through. They look bad.
So you're in Maryland. Let's get everybody on Twisted, involved here. You're in Maryland, right? So
Virginia.
Oh, Virginia.
Yeah.
Okay. Why did I say Maryland?
I don't know. It's okay.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you corrected me. Let's talk about who's on your team, what they do, what roles do they play.
Okay. From the back when we started, we were that team that probably had 10 to 15 people on it because we were all very curious about what was going on. So over the years you kind of weed yourself down. So I'd say I've had great people on the team. Everyone has always helped build us and promote us. And now, currently, our team is of 6 people. You've got me, you've got Tonna. Actually, the next one in line that's been with us the longest would be Merlin Bradbury. She is our team sensitive herself. She's been with us since the Old South filming. She came as a guest on that, and from that point on, she's been with us. Then there's another guy that we picked up, old Southern boy. His name's Timothy Balky. He would come out to the Exchange Hotel. When we would do like ghost tours, we would come out and be like the little guest at the ghost tours they would hold there on Friday and Saturday nights. Every time we'd be there, this guy would show up. And, the more and more we would see him, it was like, man, this guy loves what he's doing. He's really enjoying it. We watch him work. So when it came time to add a member, we asked him to be a part. He's been a part of us, I think, since 2015 time frame. It may be a little longer. I can't quite remember. And then, in some of the series that we're doing now for season 2, I don't know if you're familiar with the Haunted MD, Don Molnar. He was a part of us for season 1 and season 2. He's now moved on to promote his own project, which we support highly. And then we've got Brandon, who came along in 2017. He was a part of a local team here, and we saw a lot of what he was doing. And so, I noticed his love for filming and photography. And that was a big part of what I was looking for, because I was doing a lot of the carrying of the cameras, and I needed somebody else. And he stepped right up, and it's been that way ever since. And then another big follower of the team, our 6th member, Melissa Sykes. She's been a part of different paranormal teams, Mystic Paranormal, which was out of Culpeper, Virginia, back in the day. And so we brought her on board, I want to say it was probably 2018 or 2019 time frame, I think. Maybe 2019 is when it was. But I can't quite remember the year. But that's our solid 6. And we've been doing a lot of stuff ever since then, and keep it going. Keep it going. That's my people. I
That's
love them.
cool.
They're family.
Yeah, you guys seem like you're pretty close. Let's talk about each member. Like, do you have like psychics, sensitives?
Mhm.
What kind of explain their roles a little bit?
Now, when it comes to the sensitives, Merlin's kind of our lead. Tonna has stepped up quite a bit. I think Merlin has kind of mentored Tonna a lot and realized that Tonna had a lot that she didn't know. And so those two are really the way. Melissa's like, she has some abilities as well. We don't really use it, but we realize that if she starts picking up on stuff while we're filming, then we'll definitely focus on her when it comes to that. Timothy is more of an investigator for me. He will carry a camera at times, but basically then it comes down to me as trying to be the producer and the director and all that kind of stuff and carrying the camera. And then Brandon's the same way. Brandon's one of our main photographers, but lead investigator. So we all kind of know our roles. When we get on site, we know what we do. They know me. They know my routines especially when it comes to packing up gear at the end. They stay out of my way. It's funny. They'll use that as an excuse at times too, not to help me pack up too. But that's kind of what we do. I mean, Melissa's more of she's an investigator, so that's how I focus on them.
Tonna mentioned Melissa's the historian.
Yeah, historian, kind of case manager. Tonna does a lot of that too. Between the two of them, they're always the ones reaching out to our different locations. When it comes to locations, we try to find ones that they're out there, they're known as being haunted, or just being mentioned as being haunted. We try to focus on historical locations that kind of claim that. You can go to all the big ones, which we do every now and then. We'll try to throw a big one, in once a season, but we try to find those little unknowns. That's what we try to do, and try to go in, and we're not going in to try to prove anybody wrong. I want to go in and see if what you're telling me is for real or not, and then tell your story. I was just talking about this today with the locations. I want the location to tell me what's going on more. I want that person that's running it. It's all about them. It's not about us. We want to do our part at the very end. We want to tell your story and why you feel you're the way you are. And then we're going to go try to see if we can document any of this. So I think that's what's helped us quite a bit with our series is we're big historians. We try to let them tell the story for us. So.
Right.
She also said Brandon is marketing, and then John Harris said packing is Lyle's art. LOL.
Yeah.
I'm glad
Brandon
somebody enjoys
marketing.
it.
If you see all of our posts for pictures and things like that, that's Brandon all the way. So he does do a big part of that as well.
Yeah, I try to follow his Instagram or what he posts on Facebook. I like a lot of the photos that he takes.
Yeah, he does a great job.
Any questions? I think I seen at least one or two on maybe Facebook.
I have none. That's the only two I have.
Deb asked about the music, right?
She's talking to Bill.
Ah.
Oh.
Well, we can ask Lyle.
Yes.
Do you use trigger objects? We'll start with music. Do you use music as trigger objects?
That's a great one. Timothy is big on that. Our Southern boy. He definitely loves to turn the music on. Brandon will do the same thing. Period music. That's where we'll bring out the old cell phone and play some period music at the time. So yeah, we do that on location. As far as trigger objects go, really, I might have one or two that I use, and they both are kind of different bells. I have an old school bell that I've got on a string that I like to hang somewhere, and the team will always laugh when I'm talking about having a spirit try to ring my bell. I want that bell to ring eventually because that's going to be my overall proof to me that something's there. Seriously. I mean, I've been touched. I've had different things happen to me. I've seen things. But I think until that bell, that little bell that I carry around on every investigation rings for me, then I'm still going to have that skeptical side to me. I always keep that. And so that's the one thing I've been waiting on for a long time. As I've carried that bell now for probably 4 or 5 years, and it has yet to ring for me. But I'm not saying it's nothing there. Like I say, I think it's good for us to go in and be skeptical about things and not go in and automatically think that the places are haunted or whatever. But I think that's going to be the definitive proof for me when that bell rings. And I'll post that out there when that happens that day. I'm a believer all the way. I will. The bell has rung and I'm a believer. So, but that's kind of my trigger object. We do use, if we go into a Civil War location that's been active for Civil War or had a part to the history that way, we'll bring swords in. We'll hook up, the devices. I can't even think of the name of it right now. The sensitive devices that if they touch it, it'll go off. I can't even think of that. Oh, the
geophones?
Yes, I can't even think of that right now. We will use that a lot. Merlin at times will bring in, she has an old pistol. She does have old chains that she'll bring on location at times. Only if need be will we'll use those as trigger objects if we go into an area that's known for that particular part. So we try to be as respectful as we can and not try to stir anything wrong as well.
I have a question.
Okay. Hold off on that.
Okay.
I wanted to kind of add or do a follow up to that. I didn't think a lot about the concept of if we're dealing with intelligent entities like us, they have as much as free will, I would assume, as we do, and they can interact with us or not. So they have a choice, is what I'm trying to say. And a lot of places it would be safe to assume that if they're highly investigated or if they're not sociable, they won't interact with you. And I think when I met Paul Browning, he understood very early, and he wrote about it in his book, Thinking Outside the Box, that sometimes you kind of have to trick the entities into doing what you want them to do. Like he would leave up dry erase boards with messages on them, like, okay, if you can read this, open the door, close the door, move this, move that. And maybe, he would do things, to outsmart the entity, right. Or maybe do things to where it's kind of like a trap, but not a ghost trap. And have you ever considered that or had that thought?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we've tried that. That's some good stuff, though, to start thinking about using. I'm trying to think back if we've ever done anything to that type.
The locations that are investigated a lot, or maybe a location where they don't want, maybe they're afraid that you'll try to get rid of them. Maybe they're afraid that you'll make them leave, so they don't associate. I just wanted to bring that up. Go ahead with the question.
Do you use pendulums or things like that?
We have used I'm trying to think, one episode that we did, it was a Parish Theater in Parisburg, Virginia, that we did use a pendulum one time on the theater stage, and we had some great interaction with it there. Not very much anywhere else. We do pull out the dowsing rods every now and then to test those. But yeah, as far as pendulums, we don't use a lot. No.
Okay. Any other questions?
Nope.
YouTube, don't ask you any questions?
Oh, ask you, huh?
No, they're mostly talking amongst themselves.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I think that, sometimes you mentioned the bell thing, and I was wondering what could you do differently to try to get that to happen?
Right.
I was going to suggest some things, like maybe getting like a dry erase board and setting it up by the bell and be like, if you can read this, ring the bell so I know you're there. Or try to do something that appeals to their vanity, depending on the history,
Right.
or whatever. Just thinking outside of the box is what I'm going to try to advocate to everybody that I talk to that does what I do. And maybe that might increase your chances. Have you done anything unorthodox or kind of outside the box that you can recall during an investigation?
Let me go back and think here. I don't know if any of my team is listening out there, if they can refresh my memory on anything too.
Yeah, what is this thing on the game show? You can phone a friend or ask.
Yeah. Outside the box, I don't.
Just holler in the other room.
Yeah. I don't think so. I really don't. Nothing that's standing out by my. Now you got to think too. With me, I guess with me being behind the camera a lot too, I'm trying to focus on different things, and I may not catch certain things that somebody might do, but I don't think so. I think the trigger objects is more of what we would use. We've never tried to do anything like that, but I love that. I've talked about the bell quite a bit, when I do talks and stuff, and I get different responses about that. And I like what you just said there about, hey, why not just put something there and write it, let them read it and see if they can actually interact with it instead of asking them to do it. That's a good one. That's weird. That's good. I'm glad you.
All right. Well,
I knew when I came on here, I knew I was going to learn a lot from you. Just listening to you talk.
Well, I do these interviews and I do the shows to interact with everybody that watches for that. Like, I learn so much. Like, if I don't learn something per show, I didn't do it good enough. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't pull something out or, get something working to where that type of information would just come out of the conversation. And I always like to, spark interesting conversations. So that's going to happen throughout the show.
Right.
But we'll shift gears. Like, I want to know if you do residential investigations. Do you try to help folks in their homes that are disturbed by things?
Back. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
His team answered the question.
Okay, go ahead.
Merlin said food.
Food. Okay.
That they've used food.
Okay.
As a trigger object, and Brandon said they recreated a hospital scene at the Silver Thatch Inn with Doc Don.
Yeah, that's out of the. Yep. See, there you go. That's all on film. I'm more filming that than paying attention to it. So I knew they could be able to help me when it came to that, to refresh my memory.
Since I'm trying to get people on Periscope to interact more. You can try retweeting. You can try telling your friends hey, if you're into the paranormal, you can stop by Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 p.m. and we're doing it. So help me out, Cincy B. But
what was that question again?
The residential cases,
okay.
Do people reach out to you?
Back when it's been kind of quiet since for the last year or more. I haven't really gotten anybody. I haven't had anybody reach out to me here in the area for assistance. The last residential we did was in December, I want to say 2018. And that's the last time I had somebody. That's actually somebody that I work with that asked me to come in because they were having activity at the house. And but we have went in. There was when we probably going, I would say probably 2 or 3 years into this. There was a residence in Culpeper, Virginia, that we got called. We actually met him at a Paracon at the Exchange Hotel, and the girl had said, "Hey, we've tried working with other people. Can you come and see if there's anything that you guys can pick up on?" So we decided. We did our normal interview process. We go in for about 45 minutes to an hour into the home, kind of interview, go do readings, do different things like that to kind of feel the house out. And when we go to the door, knock on the door, and they welcome us in, and we saw the entire family was sleeping in the living room instead of using their house. We were like, what's going on here? something was keeping them from sleeping in their master bedroom upstairs, very nice room. The kids not sleeping in their rooms upstairs, they all want to sleep down. So just during that first little 45-minute interview session or whatever, Tonna sitting on the couch, she got scratched on the couch. I go up into the bedroom by myself with my audio recorder, and I just started talking and asking questions because that seemed to be the hot spot where everything was going on for them. And, I said, this is a good family. I said, why are you, well, I said, you need to stop messing with this family. I said, you see what you're doing to them downstairs. They can't even come to their rooms. And across, when I get a response that says, too bad, it was almost like, uh-oh. We knew we had our hands full. So 5 investigations later, trying to figure out what's going on, we actually called in a team that really specializes in home cleansings, because that's not something that we do. I don't want to say that I specialize. I can go in and read scripture and do stuff like that. I just don't, I don't feel like we specialize. I feel there's people that do specialize in that type of stuff. So we called them in, and they tried to do what they could, and 3 months later, the family left their home. So we've had a number of other ones, some that we really found that, one that in particular that kind of really started changing my mind about going into homes was that we went in, we told this lady she was seeing all kinds of things and whatever, and it was stuff that was clearly justified as to, it wasn't anything paranormal. And we did it in a very good way. And, we said, hey, it's got to be certain. It looks to me like the things you're seeing in your TV are just lights. It's coming from the light above us. And it projects. I don't know if you've seen like the new flat screens, how if there's a light in the back of the room, you see like a projection into it that looks like a rainbow effect coming from all different areas. And she swore up and down that was something coming to get her. And, and from that point, when we tried to clarify it with her, she just totally went off. And it was like, we didn't know what we were talking about or whatever. So it was, that kind of really hurt, us, because we try to be very respectful and genuine with what we do. And so, we kind of started stepping away. Mm-hmm. If people reached out to us and they started talking about, demonic things or this and that, they feel like, because everybody feels that at times, we would say, we don't really specialize in demonic stuff. I'm going to find you, and I'll reach out and I'll find somebody that does. And I've networked to California before to help people, but there are teams that really focus on that. And
right.
I give them a lot of appreciation for that. It's just that we did at one time. People didn't respect what we were trying to provide them answer-wise. And, so it kind of turns you against it at times when it comes to that,
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if you...
doing the residential cases is definitely a two-edged sword. You're trying to help people. You're trying to further your research and your understanding of the paranormal. But the cons are they don't like what you say. Maybe you can't help them. Maybe you do try to help them. They move out. You feel like you didn't, you failed them in a way.
Right.
There's so many things. So much drama can get started. So you just have to be picky. The ones I usually respond to involve children.
Yeah, definitely.
And if they show me something, like I'll say, hey, if this stuff's going on, try to capture it and show it to me, and I'll base it off of that.
Right.
But, a lot of people don't understand why folks like us are hesitant to go to people's homes that they don't know. It requires a lot of time and energy to do background checks, to, to vet each case, and to go out there and expect you to do it all for free, because hell, you're shunned if you ask for any compensation for your time. It's not fair, is it?
Yeah, you're right. We've never, there was only one time I think where we never asked for money, but there was one lady that actually said, here, she sat down and she wrote us a check. I think it was for like $50, if I'm correct, or whatever it was. It's been a long time. She said, I'd like to just make a donation to your team. because we didn't want any money. It's just the way we were. We didn't want money for it, and it was a learning process for us. And but that was the only time I think anybody on an actual private investigation gave us funds. We put it towards the team, but we would go in and do it. We traveled some distance at times to go do it. Especially when that phone call came in from California, it was like, believe me, the place it was and what it was all about. And we were like, let's get on a plane and go fly out here and go see what this is all about. But it was like, no. When the expense came, it was like, no, we can't do that. So, I give it to, there are a lot of teams out there that really specialize in that, and I give them kudos. I really do. I'm there, and I never turn away anybody. If I get a request, I'm going to look at what's going on. And that, especially if it's not close by, if it's a team that's local in the area or whatever, I'll reach out to them to try to get help for that person. And but if it is local, and it does deal with children a lot, which the last one that we did, I'm definitely there. We're there to do what we can. If it's only a couple of us going, if it's not the whole team, I kind of did like a little home team where it was just 3 or 4 of us instead of 6 or 7 of us to do that. So. But like I say, I haven't really received any calls or anything for quite some time for that. So it's kind of calmed down in our area. It's mellowed out.
Interesting. I know Sin City Paranormal said we never take money either. Even donations we try to refuse. If we travel out of town, we tell them if they want to buy us dinner, that's okay, but we can't take money. And that's pretty much the position that we're in, because if we do, it's going to put us in a category as fraud, charlatans, trying to take advantage of people. So, we really don't have a choice. That's why I take donations through this type of content, like for streaming, for the production end of it, because that's the stuff that costs money. But when we do the residential cases, there's no way. And I think the main currency I personally get is not only helping people, but like I remember this one case me and my mom went to, and I think my wife Christy went to, and it was an older lady, and I just released a film down in southern Ohio in Ripley about a school down there, and she had come to the premiere and to the lecture I did at the local library, and she's like, hey, can you come check out my home? And she's a sweet old lady, I can't turn this lady down. So I show up to her house. Me and my mom go through it, and then my mom's like saying, oh, there's this man, his name's Harry. We're giving her this information. She's like, oh, yes, that's my deceased husband. So we ended up telling her that this stuff was coming from her husband that had passed away. And at the end, she was thanking us. She was so happy. She was pulling out her checkbook. She's like, how much do I owe you? I'm like, oh, no. I can't take your money, lady. I mean, there is no way in hell I could take your money. Just the fact that we're pretty sure and you're pretty sure that we just gave you this information about your husband. There's no freaking way I can take money for that. Like, I'm already been paid. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's priceless.
Right. Definitely.
Anything going on in chat that we need to bring up?
Nope.
I know Sin City said we traveled for 9 hours one way for a residential, and they were shocked that we didn't take money. Yeah, a lot of people are shocked.
Yeah.
Darren had a question for Lyle. What would you use as a trigger for a jail prison? We have tried some things. We need to try some things different. We have used tobacco several times and no reaction.
We did do a jail in Buena Vista, Virginia. And the tobacco was the biggest thing, was one of the things, offering cigarettes, stuff like that. We did use that, and that worked well. But as far as any other type of object, I'm trying to think if we have I think that's the only jail really that we have done was that one, and that worked well for us, but that was back in 2014, 2015. That was way back then. I don't know of any other items to use in a jail. We did use part of we did dress and kind of recreate a scene in the jail with the old sheriff had been killed by one of the inmates. We kind of recreated that a little bit to see if we could get it stirred up, and that actually worked. I guess it just depends on what you do. But as far as an object in the jail, I don't know.
I can make a suggestion. I know Darren has probably seen reenactments done. A lot of groups have been in there. I think if you can try to replicate something that will stir up like something psychokinetic or maybe just emotional, like a lot of people believe that, you know, especially with jails, it's hard to believe that someone who has passed away would choose to linger in a place like that. But who's to say we know anything about the afterlife for sure? So maybe it's like an aspect of their consciousness that's, you know, echoing and replaying over and over. Maybe it's like a purgatory of some sort. We don't know, but I think if there's any way that you can target individuals that, you know, if you can like identify who's there, you can go that route. Like maybe you can like try to address what emotions they, you know, with the Carl Etherton person at, you know, at the jail that he's talking about. You know, we had tried certain things. I know that I had went into a cell and I had closed the door, and I kind of like, because I've been, you know, incarcerated here and there throughout my past, and I try to relate to spirits, you know, that would be carcerated, but I didn't get any interaction. So I know when we brought Jess there, she was definitely, I feel, a trigger object because she has abilities, and she was really made known to an entity that preyed on women. And since Jessica had a past where men had preyed on her and abused her, I think those might be the best forms of trigger objects as people.
Right. Yeah, I think that recreation that we did really stirred it up. We kind of recreated the fact of the inmate where he tried to break out of the cell, and it was actually I was the I'm trying to think if I was the inmate or if I was the sheriff. I couldn't remember, but we did recreate that fact, and we had a pistol and all. And it really, I think it made the jail active when we did that. So, just recreations and feeling.
Darren Lott says he's watching.
My brother.
All right, guys. Well, it's halfway through. We're going to give Lyle and the girls a break, but please don't go anywhere. We're going to play some promos and some ads real quick, about 10 minutes or so. We'll be right back. Please don't go anywhere. We have a lot more to talk about with Lyle, and stay tuned, guys. Don't go anywhere. Do you have that drive? That morbid curiosity to explore the darkness? Do you have what it takes to brave the night? You do? Good.
Dead light. For those who aren't afraid to see what lurks in the night.
like to see you. What the fuck was that?
Back off now. In God's name, back off.
You go back to your bathroom, you stay back there.
But I got you. Don't fucking touch me! Fuck! Okay. Leave me the fuck alone! Okay, sweetie. Okay. Open the door, get the door. Open the door, let's get her out of here.
Get the door.
God! Leave me alone! 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 Leave me alone!
Get out of here.
Ow! I can't move my feet! I can't move my feet! In God's name, out of here now!
This is Jason Bland, host of Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup, where we stream live as a webcast every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, with guests who will blow your mind. Live ghost box sessions where you can call into the show to see if the spirits will talk to you, and the World Wide Web of Weird with the latest in paranormal news and evidence. We're bringing the weird every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.
And we're back with Necromancer Live. We are talking to Lyle Lots of Twisted Paranormal Society. So if you've been hanging in there waiting for us to come back, we appreciate it. If you had just tuned in, thank you for joining us. So let's start talking about, let's talk shop for a minute. What is it that you focus on per each investigation? Does it differ depending on what the phenomena they report? Or do you do the same type of research everywhere you go? Do you try to do EVP stuff everywhere you go? Do you change things up depending on what the history is and claims are? What's your approach or methodology?
I think we kind of got a routine down. Where we like to go in ahead of time. I mean, if it's a local place, of course, we like to go in maybe a week or so in advance and do all that extra work that you need to do, like that great B-roll stuff that you shoot for yours. We like to do that. Then we like to do our interviews separate. I like to take my time doing it and finding out those claims and everything. And then we kind of go off of that. We kind of think, okay, all right, so we've heard our interviews, we hear historical interviews, then we get our paranormal claim interviews. So then it kind of gives us an idea of how to focus, what areas to focus on, what to kind of go after, by the period. The current one that I'm working on now, the Buckhorn Inn, is out of Churchville, Virginia. And, it had Civil War period. It was even way before that. It came up through the stagecoach period. It came up all. So, we're attacking many different levels of different things there. And just to try to find out which realm we're actually working in. So, so that's kind of how we do it. It's kind of a format. It just depends on what the claims may be. If we stray from that a little bit, our formats really work for us. People do love the historical part that we put together. So I really try to focus a lot on that. I try to focus on stuff outside of the location, if there's anything close by, and kind of bring that in a little bit. But when it gets to the paranormal side, we will focus on some of the claims, but then we also try to attack it ourselves and see if we can provide something different than what they have come up with. So that's kind of our focus, how we operate.
Right. I do love history, and I do love the filmmaking aspect and storytelling part of that. But do you ever feel like, you mentioned that you try to look outside of the claims and the history, like maybe something else entirely different is going on, right? So when do you feel like is a good time to do that? Or is there a certain investigation that you can recall that you did that?
Let's see, let's go back to, let's focus like on the one that we just did, like the one that's coming out Friday night is called Deep Creek Vintage. It's a historic antique location. And there wasn't really a whole lot of claims that were shared with us. Maybe a person about somebody seeing a lady walking the stairs. Maybe somebody saw a little kid walking through the area. So those are the challenge locations when somebody doesn't give you a whole lot to go off of. So we go into that trying to see what we can come up with and try different things to see, okay, is there different spirits that these people aren't aware of? The one at Deep Creek also had a gangster period where they claimed that possibly the location had been frequented by the mob at one time. So we went that avenue. Even though there was no claims of any type of mob activity, we went that route with questioning as well. And we got reactions from that, especially in the basement area where it was said that they would take people, so that we played off of that. I guess, like you say, it goes off of each location as to the way you approach it. We do try to stick to a format, but then we will branch out a little bit and try to do something different, to try to draw different interactions with it. So hope that's a good answer.
Yeah, it is. A lot of times when you're not given a lot of information, you do have to take shots in the dark, or trust your gut, or draw from experience, see what works, what doesn't. That leads me to my next question. How often do you debunk? And when you debunk, is there reasons why you debunk? Do you always try to just, debunk something first before you go to the route down of seeing or validating if it's paranormal or not?
I guess it's, going in and kind of doing your do stuff beforehand and making sure that everything is, testing your areas, making sure you're not dealing with electrical. We do look for a lot of that in areas where we've got a lot of claims. As far as, trying to debunk a lot of, like the claims of the lady on the stairs. We didn't really have a lot of interaction, but then there was a great piece of footage that was given to us as a part of the investigation that'll be seen Friday night that made you really think, was there something there? Because that piece of footage was excellent that the people that we interviewed. But then going back to different things of trying to debunk things, we will try to, if they give us like sounds or different things, like in Deep Creek as well, there were a lot of places you would step that you would actually think, oh, there's somebody whistled at me or whatever. I found that in the jail in Buena Vista the same way, people talking about that. And then I'd step on a piece of wood somewhere and I'd hear, it sounded like somebody was whistling at me or talking to me, but it was actually a piece of wood in the floor. So yeah, we do try to pay attention to that stuff when it comes to, and a lot of it I catch during an editing thing. Something that we may have claimed we thought happened, but then I can go back and look and see that it didn't. So then, of course, that great piece of footage that we might have thought we had, it's gone. So we actually just had that on an investigation that we just did, for our very first season 3 one. I can't name the location yet, but we had some guests that tagged along as we were investigating. I thought they were behind me, and I kept an eye on these people. But as I stepped away one direction, apparently they must have walked around and came up in front of us. We thought it was an apparition that walked in front of us and ducked back real quick. But the more we played with it, that night at the location, we were all over the fact that we had a full body apparition there. Mm-hmm. Get back home, do more research, do more study, pulling it up on the cameras, find that it was one of the people that had snuck around and actually got in front of one of the cameras. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's I think that's a big, when you're trying to put a product out there, you got to be very truthful with what you got. And that was one of the things. I could have snuck that by on somebody if I wanted to, but no, that's not the right thing to do. I want you to see, and I'll probably actually use that as a learning tool as a part of that episode where we thought it was something big, and it ended up being somebody that walked in front of us. And but they wouldn't claim it. Even though we asked these people, did you walk around? Did you do that? They kept saying no. But finally we found out that they did. So, we're always into that. We're trying to make sure that any piece of information that we get is credible with it.
Cool. Do you get a lot of people messaging you, like showing you photos, wanting to see if you see anything? I mean, how do you go about telling folks that really don't have a lot of camera knowledge or photography knowledge about anomalies that are explainable? Like, let's talk about that for a moment, because some people could probably, appreciate your honesty with that.
Right. Well, my honesty when it comes to it, people will send me those type of things. I will look at it. I will say, nice picture, and I'll leave it alone. I don't throw an opinion either way, because the minute you throw an opinion out there, you're garbage. Especially if you tell them it's nothing. If it's something that I clearly will see, then I have commented. But a lot of times these people are so dead on the fact that they've caught something. And, I'll just say nice picture. And I won't go much more into it. I've learned, I have been on that negative side of that. And it's like, I don't want to be trashed for telling you, because that's the way it is anymore. It's like, if you notice us, I don't put that footage out there. If it's anything that, is questionable, I'm not putting it on social media. I'm not putting it out there because I see too many people get trashed and tore apart, and it just starts so much drama with it that I stay away from that. A lot of times I may say, I might ask the question, so what type of camera did you use? Did you use a flash? Did you use that? What was was it raining? Any of that? I might ask questions, and then I'll end it with, hey, nice catch. or whatever. You know, and I know they're waiting for that true answer. They're wanting me to say it's nothing or something to be able to tear me apart with it, because they probably sent that picture to a ton of other people as well, and they're testing to see what kind of answers they can get. But I haven't seen that in a long time either. So it's like that stuff has kind of calmed down for me. There was a time, I want to say it's probably been a year and a half ago, maybe more, that I would get a lot of that stuff on our private, I shouldn't say private, on our Twisted, email. But I haven't seen a lot of that for a while either. So I'm glad that's kind of backed away, because I don't like being caught in that. I don't know your response, how you would feel. You may give the direct answer.
I do, and that's probably why people like you more than me.
No, but that's but you're, I don't know.
Well, it just depends on what, I respect your answer,
right?
Because you don't want yourself to be the cause of any drama or anybody's,
right,
negativity. You want to reflect that and get that far away, and I respect that, but you're a nicer guy than me. That's just what I would say. I'm kind of I'm not an asshole, but I appear to be one, because I will say point blank, like, that is not paranormal. This is what it is. Right. Even though I know that they're not going to like that answer. And I just chose to be that guy, and the people out there that don't want to be that guy, I do not judge them, because it's hard being that guy. It is hard.
I've done it and then gotten trashed. So it's like, okay, so my opinion apparently doesn't matter, when I do tell. So I kind of get that thought in my mind. So it's like, the more that it started coming, was like, okay, I wanted to say something. I just didn't want to be, whatever,
Yeah.
So, but it's sometimes it's sad when it comes to that. You want to be honest, you want to be truthful with people, and then they just want to tear you apart. Sometimes that's probably one of the reasons why we kind of got away from the home investigations, was because of the same thing. They didn't respect what we said and wanted to tear us apart. And,
right.
So
the perfect way I see to manage that, to balance that out, is to put out content on video content, or in forum, or a blog, stating what you believe is identifying anomalies, what are explainable, what causes this, what causes that, doing lectures, telling people, teaching them basics of photography, how to avoid anomalies, what pareidolia is, all that. And then, but when they come to you, you either tell them, well, I can't tell you for sure or not what that is, because you really can't, even though it's 99% chance that that's dust, you really can't tell them 100% it's dust, because you don't have physical evidence that it's dust. Right. So you wouldn't be lying by telling them, well, I can't tell you 100% what that is or is not.
Right.
But, part of me, part of my personality is, well, I'm going to tell you what I think, but I will tell you that I don't know for sure. And that kind of helps. But we can get off of this topic. I know we have a question. Was it from Gilson?
Yeah. Tonna also said, just to clarify, Merlin and I aren't allowed to know anything beforehand.
Yeah. Oh, so you do that. We'll probably talk about that next.
Yeah.
He said, Lyle, where is your go back place to investigate? Where would you go back to?
I always like our go-to place that I enjoy a lot would be probably going to St. Albans Sanatorium. We love going there. It's always something different every time you go there, it seems like. And we actually, it's our season 2 finale location this year. So we got to go in there. Marcel was very generous to let us come in and film there for a full weekend. And, so we're working really hard to put something good together for her as well. But that's kind of our go-to. It used to be the Exchange Hotel. We used to go there a lot in Gordonsville, Virginia. But I think, it's been a while since we've been there, and I think St. Albans is a fun place. I think we were there like 3 or 4 times within 4 months last year. So we had a great time there.
Yeah, Josh wants us to do a 3-day at St. Albans, and hopefully we get a chance to do that this year. We need to get that locked down before it's all booked out.
You definitely need that there. It's too much territory to cover. Even though it doesn't look like it's that big, it's too much territory to cover in a one-night thing. I like
Absolutely.
to not go in and trying to do what you do, what we do. That's why I tried to take a period of time to get the thing done. I want it done right. I don't want it done rushed. And that's kind of what we do. I try to spend a full weekend at any location we go. I want to be 2 nights where we're at. Even though the first night might just be a walk, like Tonna was talking. We try not to let either one of them know much about the locations before we go there. The last location we just did here back at the beginning of January of season 3, for season 3 episode, we didn't know a whole lot about anything. It was just the location was outstanding. And when we got there, they let us go, and we tried to see what we could, try to get the girls to see what they could find out. And that's a good thing. I like watching those two work together.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, but I cannot ignore what are they talking about on YouTube about me getting the coupons for pizza? What is that about?
Well, MP lives in Chicago, and we were they were all talking about pizza and stuff like that, and they were saying that you're gonna get hungry because everybody's talking about pizza. And so Betty says that you need to send everybody coupons on Friday, so we'll all have a pizza party.
While we're watching
Why
Seth
me?
Weekly.
Why don't you send me pizza? What about me?
But you don't eat it.
I know. I can't have it.
You can have everything but the crust.
That's torture. All right. I want to know what kind of psychical research do you guys do when it comes to, who do you leave in the dark for locations and see what they can pick up on? Because we do that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's Merlin. I mean, a lot of times, Tonna, there are times when we will not let Tonna hear anything or let Merlin know anything about locations. And, but, here recently, Tonna's been going with me to lock down more locations. So she may get involved. That's where we'll let Merlin do her type of work. But it's awesome when we actually go to a location and Brandon and I that's one of the things we might take the weekend before we actually go and investigate and take the 2 girls in and let them do a walk. And just totally film a walk for an hour or 2, and see what we can get out of it and get the information that they feed us. Because what they feed is what we kind of try to go after, what they pick up on. I know there used to be a time where we would, where if Merlin would tell you, okay, you don't need to go there. Don't go that way. Stay away from that area. Warnings. She'd give you those warnings, and you better pay attention to her when it came to the warnings. I'm sure, Jessica, you're probably the same way when it comes to that. But it was always such a great thing to be able to watch those 2 work off of each other. Because it was almost like Merlin would use Tonna's eyes to see things. So that's one of the things I liked about being behind the camera, was being able to watch those 2 work.
That is interesting, isn't it, girls? What he just said.
It is.
Right? Like, it's almost like your powers combined type thing, right? Like, one person who isn't used to seeing what the other sees, but when they're together, they start adopting the other's abilities. Is that what you're kind of describing?
Yep. That's what it is. It's and they'll feed off of each other. It's one will find something, will look at the other one and say, "What are you?" And they'll feed off of each other. And but yeah, there's a lot of times, and I think Merlin will tell you that she would, Tonna would, and I get them mixed up at times. I think Tonna was more of like being able to hear them talk and see, where Merlin, could feel the room. She could feel what's going on.
More like an empath.
Yes. So, and they would feed off of each other that way. So it's always exciting to watch those two work together.
Yeah, like clairsentience is also deals with feeling, and I think it's always cool. We do experiments all the time with myself, Jess, and Missy. We will like keep them separated. We'll have them do individual walkthroughs and then cross reference, what was the same, what was different, and why possibly. We do remote viewing sessions before we go to locations with Jess. Have you ever tried that? Have you ever tried to have a sit down with them before you go?
Remote. Before we used to have a person, a part of the team that would do some remote viewing for us. But we lost that person, and but no, we haven't really done it since then. That's been a couple years now.
Merlin said I see them.
Years. Yeah, she sees them, and I think a lot of time they will, like I say, she will. It's weird to be able to put those two together and the different things that they are able to pick up on. So yeah. At times, I think Merlin can see things. Tonna will see things. Merlin will use Tonna. Tonna will use Merlin. It's weird just to see those two kind of like join together and be able to become one when it comes to it. So, but back to the remote viewing thing, no, it's been a while since we've actually had that. I invited one person on to an investigation because he did do a remote viewing for me. Before we went into a location, and he described stuff. He had never been to this place at all. And when he gave me the description of everything that he was seeing and it going into the house and all, I was like, dude, you have to come. I'm sorry. You're going to come on this investigation with us because what you told me was spot on with everything. So, but yeah, currently we don't use remote, no.
Tonna had an interesting comment. She said, dreams are a big thing. It's interesting that dreams I have beforehand. Do you personally have any dreams, or does anything seep into your psyche before, during, or after investigation?
There's only been one experience that I think I've ever had with that, and it's weird. And I'll tell you, I was in the shower when I had this thing hit me, of all the places. Tonna,
you might as well be the shower.
The dreams are really, when Tonna starts telling you things about her dreams, and then she can describe stuff before we even get to a place we've ever been to, never seen. And then it's like, when we go, there was one location, a farm, that she described, a farmhouse, things going on, because it came to her in her dream. A little girl or a little boy drowning in a lake. We didn't find out after that until almost the end of the investigation. But it's weird, her dreams. Now, mine is a location that I have not been to yet. Daniel Klaus, the Hinsdale house, okay? Mm-hmm. It's just weird. All of a sudden, we were getting ready to go there. We had an investigation set up, and it was weird. I don't know what, all of a sudden it just popped to my mind I was actually looking out of what appeared to be the back door of this location, of the Hinsdale house, looking up towards the woods. And I saw what appeared to be some type of form of an elemental that crossed. It's like I was looking from a DVR vantage point or something. It was weird. And I saw this elemental thing go across in front of me, and as it was going across, it was looking at me eye to eye. And I got out of the shower, and it kind of freaked me out. I got out of the shower, and I went out, and I told Tom, I said, you're not going to believe what I just saw. I said, I've never had that before. And then come to find out that when we were at the bash last year, because I had expressed this to Daniel after it happened, and he called me over to the table at the bash, and he had a picture that somebody had provided him of a face of something peeking around a tree up in that same area that I thought I had been at through this vision. And I just pretty much, like, he showed me the picture, and I was like, I had to look away from it because it was the exact pretty same face thing that I had seen. And he said,
wow.
Is this what you saw? And I said, it's exactly what I saw, and I can't explain it. I've never had that happen before, and it was the freakiest thing that ever occurred to me when it came to that. I've never had visions, nothing, and then that happened. And then all of a sudden I started getting all these warnings about you're not prepared to go to Hinsdale from different people. You need to open up more spiritually before you go there. You need to do this, you need to do that. So people started scaring me about the place. But we are heading there in October of this year to finally do what we need to do. And go up there and work that place. So
yeah, that's a place that's on my bucket list. I feel like, somebody there loves the masquerade as something bigger and meaner and better than what it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's definitely a cool place to go check out. I'm going to have Dan on Necromancer. I don't know if it's next week or next month, but he's going to be on.
Awesome.
Do you guys ever live stream investigation or any content like that?
No, we have not, and I know we're starting to think about that as well. We may do more of that when we get to the event side of stuff. But as far as investigation, no, I try to keep it more of a hush type thing. And you see it when it comes out. But we have been thinking about that a lot here lately ourselves. To kind of do some fun things to get out there and bring people along with us.
Yeah, I had invested in some equipment and stuff to do live streaming because I know there's a demand for it, but it just seems so much work and it's so impactful and distracting to the investigation and worrying about setting that up and at least having an hour or more scooped out of your investigation just for that.
Right.
It's a big deal. So we're trying to figure out new inventive ideas to do live streaming, but not have it affect the investigation and film production part. And once I figure that out, I'll be a lot happier because I know people, can't go out and do the stuff that we do. Not everybody can. They really enjoy being able to come with us online and see what we're seeing and maybe even almost experience it with us. And I just think it's something new and exciting, but it's hard to implement.
Right. I mean, I'm not a big tech guy, so I don't know a whole lot about that part of it. But I'm trying to learn more. There's a lot of tech things that I know I need to learn about this whole experience, in the production side of it. And, so I try to take in as much as I can. When I see people doing things like that, I'm trying to learn more about it. But yeah, I'm always open to different things.
Well, if you ever want to take that next step, I'm your guy. I do a lot of, tech assistance and help a lot of people out figure out how they, use live streaming tech to incorporate into their productions and investigations. Right. And I'll tell you what, it is a lot of hard work and headache.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely be reaching out to you. There's a lot of other things that I definitely want to talk to you about anyway. When it comes to the production side, because I know you've got it down, that's for sure. And I know Brandon and I, we're trying to learn as much as we can, and but we tried to ask as well, because there's always so much more that we can learn and how to make it better. So
for sure,
I appreciate guys like you when it comes to that.
Bill Davis said hire me to help with the live streaming. LOL.
If you can get your old ass up here, you're more than welcome to help us with all of it. Don't tease me. You don't make me go there. No one said that you couldn't, Bill, okay? We'll just say that. Yeah, Bill's handy with camera tech. He likes doing that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of stuff that I had to learn, and I'm just good at teaching myself how to do things. And you have to have an eye. Of course, that you have to have an eye for photography and for that type of art form. You have to have a passion for history and storytelling. There's so much things wrapped up in filmmaking that it gets deep and complex really fast to put out really good stuff. And so what have you noticed about your production that's getting better? Like what have you been trying to add and incorporate?
I've noticed that the editing is getting a lot better. That's for sure. The different, I don't know what you use. I know we use Premiere Pro. We use Sony Vegas. We use different platforms to build it. I mean, I'm more accustomed to like Sony Vegas, where Brandon's more Premiere Pro. We reached out and we got some good editing tools. Things provide a lot of good things for us, like motion array and stuff like that. So that's one of the main areas that we focus in, is the editing part, and the different platforms. I build my episodes in Vegas, but then I'll hand them over to him to add edits and some good effects and stuff like that, Premiere Pro. So it's just the different platforms. I'm trying to break away from Sony Vegas to get the Premiere Pro, but I'm so good here. I hate to even step over here.
Well, that's what I use. That's what I use is Vegas Pro 14. And it doesn't. I don't think it matters.
Right.
The workflow, what you've learned and can do quickly. The whole thing about editing is not only knowing how to do it as a trained professional would, but the time it takes to do it and make it fast.
Right.
But the software that I have found that has made our productions better is Adobe After Effects.
Yes.
If you can do Adobe After Effects, you can really spice up your production. Like that smoke effect for the text that I do, that really makes your stuff, set apart from what people can do with what type of text effects that Vegas, Premiere Pro, and Final Cut can do.
Right.
But I also think that if you have good drone photography, if you really know how to get good B-roll and have good sit-down interviews that kind of season in and intercut in with your film to make it flow and, make it seem like it's very immersive. The more you can, like one thing I'll tell you is, if you want to screen a cut to somebody, the first question you ask them, how long do you think that lasted? How long do you think that piece of film was? If they say it took less time to watch it than it actually was, then you did a good edit. And that's the main thing you'll learn in film production. Yeah. If they tell you it lasted an hour and it was an hour, then you need to do a little bit better. If they tell you it lasted an hour and it was only 40 minutes, then you need to do better.
Right. Wow.
And that's the main thing, because you want them to be so immersed in what they're watching that time goes out the window. If you know what I mean, because anything good that you watch, you're like, oh man, it's over already, and here it is. You've been in your butt's numb watching it.
Right. One more.
Yeah. So that would be my first thing that I would throw to you, as a tool. If you just screen it to somebody and screen it to different people that like different things. Maybe somebody that doesn't like the paranormal at all or doesn't get into it. If you can make it interesting for them to watch and make it, the time go by make the illusion go by quicker, then you got something good, because you want to try to reach as much audience as you can and not try to target like a small niche of people.
Correct.
So, I always have a bleeding heart for filmmakers and independent content creators, because for people that don't do it, they just don't understand how freaking expensive and time consuming and hard. And it's like a love-hate relationship, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, I'm usually, for an episode, it might take me 2 months or a little more to get one done. But really, I'm, until I be involved with the effects, and he does a lot of the B-roll effect stuff for us that I feed in. When you're trying to do a full-time job and you basically have that maybe an hour or two a day that you might be able to sit down and do it, it takes a little bit longer. So I've found that. So I'm actually getting quicker with it now than what it used to take. So,
do you use key bindings and macros to do things in your programming?
I don't think so. No.
So you click all the tools and you
Yes.
search through all the menus. Okay.
Yes.
One thing that I would suggest is learning, like if you use Vegas Pro like I do,
Right.
there's shortcuts on the keyboard to do things. Learn those because it's faster to hit. Like if the D button, for example, will let you toggle through different tools that you use a lot.
Yes. Okay.
And the S is the split button and so on and so forth. If the more you use those, the faster it'll go. Like every
Right.
little second counts.
Yeah, I know that D button. You just explained that. I was like, I hit the D button one day and my little pointer went away, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here? I didn't quite understand. Yeah, so you got me on that one. But no, I do a lot, the S and the splits, and I'm really fast with all that, but there are definitely things that I don't, I'm still learning with that particular, even the setup. Mine's Vegas 12. I've been using, I've been thinking about doing the upgrade, but my computer's old, so I need to get new computer to be able to upgrade that as well.
Yeah, yeah. If you need any help, man, I'm here. Like I help a lot of
appreciate
people
that.
all the time, and I don't
Definitely.
mind because I'm just that's the way I can give back. If I got to debunk your dust to orb photo, then I'll just karmically give back to the people that are trying to figure out editing and filmmaking. Because I want I want everybody to be able to do it and love it and
Right.
put out cool stuff because I want to watch it.
Right. Yeah, I know I want to be able to sit down and there's a lot of stuff. I know there's a lot of learning tools out there to be able to sit down and watch. I need to be able to take that time to do it too. But having great people like you, mentors.
Well, there's probably some things that I can learn from you guys. I know that maybe this year at the Bash we need to sit down and talk more in depth since we'll be there for
Yeah.
3 days.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Maybe just by I think Pam and Barry purposely sets our booths together and
Across from each other.
yeah, right next to each other. So
That's right. Perfect.
we don't have an excuse. I got to do something more instead of pointing a laser pointer at your crotch. That was so funny the first time that happened. Is because you looked down and I kind of looked away and you didn't know who it was at first, and then and then I did it again. And I let you see me do it, and then you got me back. And
then we were getting each other across the room.
Yeah.
Doing a bunch of stuff. That's fun times.
So let's talk about some of the stuff on season 3 that you got coming up. Is there anything that you can tell us about that stuff?
Well, I know, coming up here, just the ending of season 2. Okay, we do have, which is getting ready to air Friday night. We've got the Deep Creek Vintage episode coming out on Vidi Space, and then as soon as that's done, it's usually a week or so. Then it'll be on all the other streaming platforms that they put it on. Then we have 2 more episodes left for season 2. We got the Buckhorn Inn, and then of course we got St. Albans as our finale. Season 3, we're still actually finding those locations. As soon as we lock them down, we're trying to get them in within a month or so and get them going. We filmed our first episode back in the middle of January down in Norfolk, Virginia. So you can almost tell Norfolk, Virginia, you may know something where, if you know Norfolk, Virginia, it's a military area, naval, let's put it that way. We've got another location that's in Mount Jackson, Virginia, getting ready to come up here that we're getting ready to start our little process of filming at. We're going to go start doing some B-roll stuff this weekend, then set the next weekend for interviews, and then the next weekend try to do next weekend for investigation. So especially it's good when they're only like within an hour of the house.
I know.
So that makes it easier.
Yes.
And then we're still trying to work on those final 4 locations for. We know in October I did mention the fact that we are going to be going to Hinsdale. So that may be our finale for season 3 there. So. We still got a couple. We've been doing like a release of 1 a month on Vidi because I didn't want to do that straight stream of 6 episodes like we did the first time, and then we're gone for a year or more. Before we come back, I wanted to try to release one a month so we can be active on video. To keep
Tonna said,
ourselves.
"Hush, Lyle."
Yeah, I know she's getting on me. But that's kind of it right now. Season 3, the locations are still in the works. We have filmed our first one, getting ready to do our second one, and then of course we've got that third one. So we need 3 more that we're trying to find.
Yeah, it's tough. The further you got to travel, the tougher it is, as you know, and that's when any help, donation wise, or you don't have to give us money to help people, but you give us money for like gas, food, hotels. Usually what people do is they'll find a big hotel room and cram everybody in it, as I saw some of your stuff. Every independent paranormal filmmaking team does that. Because money doesn't grow on trees. No. And it's hard to take away, money that you want to put in for the family,
right?
Christmas, birthdays, all that.
Right. And we try to keep it as affordable for the team as possible. That way. That's why, like this last time, we had, we found a nice big double room hotel this time. First time we actually found one of those. I think it was wood forest or something like that. It was wood something. I can't remember what it was. But so we do try to do that to keep expense. There are many times where we've had 5 people in a room that's just a 1-bed room, and we got 3 people sleeping in the little living room area of it, just to try to save all money. We do what we can, to put out what we can. So
a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, I guess you could say. Let's talk about events. I know we talked about it before we went live, but let's let everybody know what you got coming up and scheduled right now for 2020.
Okay. Starting February 22nd is the Vidi Film Festival, which is in Reston, Virginia. That's, of course, put on by Elizabeth Saint and Nick Groff. We're proud to be a part of their network. So we're actually going to be there for the film festival. We get into March, actually, March 13th through the 16th. It's a big thing for us. I didn't mention this earlier when we talked. We have the Big Twisted Waters cruise that we've been promoting for over a year and a half.
I know. I've heard about that. I don't know any other group that does something like that. That's interesting.
Well, it was an adventure, put it that way. It's been an experience trying to get it going, and we're excited with all the people that booked that are going. So that's going to be a great time in March. We step into our third platform, which is our Haunted Nights Paranormal Events company that we actually started up. So we're going to be doing an event at Henricus Historical Park the first weekend of April, the 3rd through the 5th. We've actually got Mike Guncalves and Chris Smith from Tennessee Wraith Chasers that are going to be there with us. Great guys. We've worked with them before. And so that's going to be a good weekend. Tickets are on sale. You can go to the event page on Facebook. The tickets are through Eventbrite, so you can click the link there. We do have a special on tickets right now for that. Then we step all the way into June. June, I think it's the 19th through the 21st. It's called the Life and Death event. And I believe it's in Shepherdstown. It's in Shepherdstown, West Virginia. So we're a part of that weekend. The following weekend, we're doing our first Bigfoot conference. We were talking about that before we came on the air. Bigfoot. The ECBRO 3rd Annual Bigfoot Conference in Weir's Cave, Virginia. So we jumped on board with them, and we're excited. That's a full weekend, June 27th, 28th. And then, of course, in July, you get to the Bash. 24th through the 26th of July in Gettysburg. The Gettysburg Battlefield Bash will be there. And then I think it's September the 26th, we'll be at the Fleetwood Paracon, Fleetwood Church. It's in Brandy Station, Virginia. So we'll be a part of that event. And that's kind of it for now.
Is it an operational church?
No, it's a historic building.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of the Graffiti House. In Brandy Station. It's actually right beside the Graffiti House. That was a Civil War hospital.
Okay.
The Graffiti House was.
Virginia is definitely a place that gets overlooked by a lot of people who live in the Midwest, that have, the places that are always, you see on TV a lot. Because I know there's so many good battlefields and historical locations in Virginia. I definitely want to get down there. I think St. Albans might be my first, experience. Yeah. But I've heard so many things. I know Vanessa Hogel tells me that Virginia is probably the most haunted place there is in the U.S. Do you think so? Do you think Virginia is a contender?
I think so. In my opinion, I do. I mean, there's locations all over this state to go. I mean, you go from down southwestern Virginia at St. Albans. You go up all the way up into like northern Virginia. You got Weemsbot's Museum, some different places up there. You come down into Richmond, it's just loaded. You got the 360 house. I don't know if you heard of the 360 houses.
Yeah, I know Dennis, yeah.
The 360 houses. Of course, Henricus Historical Park is in Chester, Virginia. There's many locations. You get down to Virginia Beach, you got the Ferry Plantation. Just all over Virginia locations. And there's just spots that haven't been hit. So that's what we're looking for. That's what we're having a good time finding, these locations. And but yeah, you definitely have to look at the hot spots in Virginia, because you could definitely do a full run in Virginia if you wanted to. That's for sure.
Steve Dills is giving me the lowdown about the church. It says, not an operational historical church, built on the foundations of a church that sat there during the Civil War. The largest cavalry battle of the Civil War was fought right at the doorsteps of the Fleetwood Church. This is the second year of our Paracon, where 100% of the proceeds go straight to the restoration of the church. All of the special guests are volunteers, all staff are volunteers, etc. It's awesome.
Yep. And Steve, thank you for filling that in. Yep.
That is interesting.
Steve does a lot of locations himself. I mean, in the the Richmond area. So he's really, Hanover Tavern is a big place for him. Scotchtown. So Steve's very well versed in that area.
That's pretty cool. So yeah, we're winding down. Is there anything that else you want to plug? Is there any like Facebook pages, websites, anything like that you want people to know about?
I mean, we've got we've got our Twisted Paranormal Society Facebook pages. Facebook.com/Twisted Paranormal Society. We've got Facebook.com/ the Twisted Realm page. Our Haunted Nights Paranormal Events page on Facebook. Our website is twistedparanormalsociety.com. You can go there and catch a lot of the stuff that we do there. It shows, we've got a little bit of everything there. The Realm, the Haunted Nights, all that kind of shows up on our website. B kind of takes care of a lot of our Instagram pages. We have the Realm, Haunted Nights, Twisted Paranormal Society. Of course, a lot of our private ones our personal ones are on there. And then, of course, the Twitter stuff. We're kind of there on Twitter as well. As far as the Twisted Realm is on Twitter, I know that. He kind of handles that platform too. So those are kind of like our social media ones. Of course, you can see the Twisted Realm series on VidiSpace or Amazon Prime. We are on Apple TV, Google Play, Roku, different places like that for streaming. So check that out if you get a chance. Season 1, full season 1's up there. Season 2, you will have to be 3 episodes. It'll be 4 come next week on there to be able to check out. And I just like to say the progression. I like to watch our progression from basic to try to get better and getting better as it goes along, becoming a little more seasoned in what we do produce. So it's always great to learn from great people like you guys. I enjoy watching your series and watching your work, and appreciate all your knowledge. And I like I told you before on the break, this you challenged me with some good questions on this cast, because you can do a lot of radio. I mean, a lot of these casts, and you hear a lot of the same things a lot of times, but you really ask some great questions. You made me think a lot about it. So I appreciate that 100%.
You are very
how honored
welcome.
I am, to
And
be a
thank
part
you
of
for
this.
coming on and just giving me 2 hours of your life. I genuinely appreciate everyone that comes on. I take it very seriously. It means something to me, each person that comes on. I really value it. And I think it's important to, what's the word? People say that paranormal unity is a myth, and that's how I kind of start off the show by saying that people say it's just a bunch of egotistical wannabe celebrities, but it's what we make it. It really is, and I really think that this show is a part of my attempt to prove everyone wrong and kind of lead by example. As well, as long as you're doing something to help the field, unify the field, then you're one step closer into making it not a myth.
Right.
And if everyone just did that, I don't care if it's someone that I don't think does things right or anything. It's just about the people. And I think as long as you just respect people for who they are and just respect them as a person and as a creative and someone who's just trying to find answers for themselves, despite what they do, what they use, who they associate with, all that drama crap will just go away. I mean, Would you agree?
I would think so. Yes, sir. I agree with you. Definitely.
I mean, there's going to be the people out there that just don't belong or just won't fit in. But I think all in all that paranormal unity definitely could be better. And I know the events we go to, like the bash, I mean, there is sometimes drama pops up, but all in all, it's definitely alive and well there, I feel.
Right. Definitely. I think, and we love interacting with everybody. That's the fun thing about it. We love meeting people and interacting with guys like you all, and just having a good time together, because we are one big family. And that's the way I try to look at it. And that's the way I treat everybody. So I do want to give a shout out to my team, my members, myself, Tonna, Merlin Bradbury, Timothy Balky, Brandon Johnson, and Melissa Sykes. You guys mean a lot to me. I love you guys. You're a big part of my family, and I appreciate all that you do. And this Twisted Realm stuff wouldn't be anything without them.
Awesome. Before I wrap it up, you got to promise to bring an individual bottle of moonshine just for me. No one else can have it.
No, it'll
mine.
be just for you, buddy. I'll make it up, and it'll be just for you, bud. No doubt.
Sweet. All right, man.
So you mean
what?
You're gonna
There will be more. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I just hope it's not
pay
hot.
attention to.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
It was
you, guys.
great. It was
Appreciate
great
you
talking
guys.
to you. Yep. Everybody, check out Twisted Paranormal Society and the Twisted Realm. They got a lot of stuff going on, and we want to support them. I want to make that the takeaway and the main thing for the show. Lyle, you can just hang on to the call while I wrap that up, buddy. But thanks again.
Okay.
It was awesome.
Okay.
All right, folks. You guys that's been hanging in there for the whole 2 hours. I know it's a long show, but I appreciate you. It just wouldn't exist without you. All your support is very much appreciated. Like I said, please go check out twistedparanormalsociety.com. Check the Twisted Realm. They got a DVD series. They're on VidiSpace. I think Brandon says that they're on Android TV and all the other things that he plugged. Go check them out. They're just good people doing the stuff that we love. So you can't go wrong supporting them. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. We're going to look at these links here. If you are not familiar with our website, please go check out interfacedeath.net. Our Patreon is /support interfacedeath. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. We got a Discord if you want to join us in that community. We got the Patreons up on the screen. Please extend your thanks to Clay Borman, Scotty Fox, Katie Turner, RJ Murphy, Casey Schreiner, Deadlight LLC, Jessica Bias, Paranormal Reporter, Joe Vitale, Heather Elliott, Betty Kegley, Cherry Capital Shadow Seekers, Kelly McConkey, The Ghost Guild, Anthony Grothis, and Jen Raw 7. Thank you very much for your continued support, and I'm going to leave it there. If you want to see me again, along with Bill Davis on Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, we'll be rocking out same bat time, different bat channel on the Interface Death Facebook page, Interface Death YouTube channel, Twitch, and Periscope. You all are beautiful. You're in our hearts. We love you. Stick around for John Ward and the Dead Republic trailer, and I'll end it there. Love you guys. We'll see you next time.
You're not afraid of the dark, are you?
Hillary,
What?
what's going on with this building?
Everything.
A lot of people will come here and get messages from loved ones.
This place was holistic.
If you come back up here, I will push you to your death.
You're going to die in there.
Something just like flew at me. Something big and like gray.
Whoa, 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 I just saw someone fucking turn the step.
Did you hear that?
Back off now. In God's name, back off.
You go back to your bathroom, you stay back there.
But I got you. Don't fucking touch me! Fuck! Okay.
Leave me the fuck alone!
Okay, sweetie. Okay. Open the door, get the door. Open the door, let's get her out of here.
Get the door.